Okay. I'm going to try and, this one will probably, there'll be follow-up videos because there's a lot of them here. But this one is kind of about things that when somebody is going through a process like I'm going through, um, things that can be said that really salt a wound. And so, first of all, I have to mention a couple things as I'm going through this process. Understand that people whose life have been interrupted by these kind of difficulties, um, first of all of these difficulties are valid. These mental issues, physical issues, just emotional or situational issues. Sometimes everything else in your family is falling apart, like whatever it is. These are valid issues, and these are very difficult to deal with. And um, the only person who is going to understand the issue very well is the person going through it. And there's, especially when your life is so interrupted. Like for me, I was kind of trying to, like, my life has been a little bit of a train wreck, anyways. And I had this one thing I was working towards, I'm pushing towards, because it was kind of like the last thing I was like, I'm going to do this because everything else keeps falling apart. And, and then it got interrupted by this. And it's like that last light at the end of the tunnel goes out, like it's, it hits you different than you'd expect. And it's like, it's grief. And grief is sacred. And it is a process by which we are refined to be able to deal with our current level of life, whatever has happened. It is our passage into what our new reality is. And grief can't be rushed. And it it is going to be something that if you do not have a reverence for that grief in somebody's life, you're not going to be able to help them. And you might not even be able to be around them without causing harm. Um, because grief exposes you, it opens things up that the armor and the things that I have had as a defense against the world aren't there right now. And there's things that I'm processing, um, the disillusionment, which I really need to do, like, I don't know, a year worth of series on disillusionment, because that's been the process of my life for a while now. And if you haven't really gone through severe disillusionment, let me tell you, it's really, that's a whole other beast right there. But it does come hand in hand with grief. And basically, as you realize your whole world is changing and everything you thought you understood isn't what it was, it's 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 a deep wound. And wounds don't get fixed, wounds heal. And some wounds heal and there's going to be a scar. And sometimes they heal, but they don't completely heal. And sometimes you lose function of part of your body, when a wound heals. And so you're healed, you're okay, but you can't walk anymore. Or, it's not the same as something that can be fixed. And there's a lot of people who you can tell when they're speaking to you are wanting to know if you're fixed yet, and how can we fix you. And here I found a fix it recipe for this, or have you tried this, have you tried this, have you tried this. Let me guarantee every person out there, as this has been my life and my grief and my process, I have looked into all the possibilities that you come up with in 5 seconds. I've already looked through that. I have asked myself any question that you're going to ask me about these. I have already done that. This is like I said, 24 hours a day, this stuff is going through my head. And the systems that are there that you could tell me, well, there's a system, they don't work like you think they do. And so if you want to be supportive of the people who are going through these processes, you have to step into their grief first. And you have to resonate with their struggle and understand the pain and the difficulty they're dealing with. Because if you're coming from the outside and you think you can fix it, let me guarantee you can't. And it's hard being broken. It's hard being broken, and it's hard when you get to the point where where people know you're broken because your life has been derailed and everybody knows and you're exposed again. And then people come in and are trying to patch you up. What is more important is for somebody to see you exposed and see that brokenness and say, you're broken. I see that you're broken. I hear you that you're broken. I'm still your friend. And if you're going to be broken, well, I'm going to learn how to be your friend even though you're broken. Not, let me know when you get fixed because then we can do whatever. Or the other one that's very, very well-intended probably is when you're talking about the difficulties you're dealing with and people say things like, oh, well, you look great. Or, I'm sure you're going to be fine. Or, oh, I'm sure it'll come around. Or I'm sure these things. I'm going through a sacred process of grief. And that is because my life is going to have a new normal. My world is changing and I'm not being negative and I'm not anything like that. This is just my process and this is my life. And so when people belittle the struggle that I'm going through, for one, I may look good. I may be able to dance pretty well. You have no clue what the rest of my day looks like. You have no clue how long it takes me to get up and get moving. You have no clue how many times I have to stop throughout the day and keel over, stretching the pain out of my back. You don't understand how it is when I have to do all these physical therapy just to stop the pain. And you don't understand what it's like when you have been going through the process for a long time and every person you contact, every place you reach out to is abusive and dismissive, and everything you're explaining is being belittled, and that's kind of that whole understand that you do not understand piece. And until you have spent some time in grief with me, and that's only a few people are invited to that. A lot of people just need to be reverent and be able to understand that my reality is changing. And so if I'm not being negative, I'm not being lazy, I'm not being what do you call it? Oh, I can't think of it. Sorry. Anyway, I'm not hiding from my problems. I just have done enough internal evaluation as I've gone through this process to know when I'm at the end of my tank. Like my tank that to get through these things, to get through the phone calls, to get through the steps, to get through the organizing my thoughts, to get through all of these things, I know when it's getting close to empty. And sometimes there's just times where I can't do more of that. And I guess throughout my time before really getting into this, before it got happening to me to this extent, I've heard so many people say such dismissive things about people and kind of relate them to their own experiences. And here's, like, one of them will say, well, when I had this happen, I did this, this, and this, and I was fine. They just need to change their diet. They just need to blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I've tried that. Anyway, you don't know what people have tried. And if you are saying they just need to, chances are you've never been through this kind of grief, because you would understand and revere it if that's your response, is you just gotta, they just need to. So anyway, I know I'm getting rambly and I'm sorry, but my brain is having issues. So basically, I think that's the first bit, because this is getting longer and so